There we go. And that. All right. So, welcome for joining me on Facebook Live. I'm Lea Little. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're joining me on YouTube Live, I'm thrilled that you're here as well and just logged on. So, thank you so much for joining me on Amazon Live. Today and every day at noon, I'm here with a book review summary, usually. And today, I chose a book that was recommended to me by my sister, The Tao of Pooh. So she and I just talked about this really simply, casually in passing, and I just happened to remember that she had mentioned it to me. So I thought, oh, you know what? Let's pull out that book today. So here we go. If you're looking for something that is definitely inspirational. It takes a minute to read. It's not like just sitting down and breezing through it. It could be, but the more time you take with it, I think the more lessons there are involved with it. So really cool. Thank you. I see you jumping on Facebook Live. So glad that you're here. All right, The Tao of Pooh. This is a nice little preface that sets it up, which I think is really nice. I found it, by the way, on Amazon in the used section. So whether you're getting the like a Kindle version or you're getting um, the the book itself, I think was listed for a little bit more than I wanted to spend. Right, I'll highlight it for you in the carousel if you're shopping with me on Amazon if you want to purchase it. But then I think there are other options that are available on Amazon, which I love too. Really cool. So. Um, it starts with the positioning that kind of sets it up for us in the beginning, talking about the simplicity of poo and likening that to simple mindedness, which is really a great inspiration. So, really kind of cool premise, I think. So, in the foreword, it says, "What is this you're writing?" asked Pooh, climbing onto the writing table. "The Tao of Pooh," I replied. "The how of Pooh?" asked Pooh, smudging one of the words I had just written. "The Tao of Pooh," I replied, poking his paw away with my pencil. "It seemed more like the aw, ow of Pooh," said Pooh, rubbing his paw. "Well, it's not," I replied huffily. "What's it about?" asked Pooh, leaning forward and smearing another word. "It's about how to stay happy and calm under all circumstances," I yelled. "Have you read it?" asked Pooh. Oh, a great positioning right at the beginning, right? I love the wonder of simplicity. So that was after some of us were discussing the great masters of women wisdom, and someone was saying how all of them came from the East, and I was saying that some of them don't. But he was going on, just like the sentence, not paying attention. And when I decided to read a quote from Wisdom of the West to prove there was more to the world than one half, I read, "When you wake up in the morning, Pooh," said Piglet last night, "what's the first thing you say to yourself? What's for breakfast?" "What do you say?" "What's for breakfast?" said Pooh. "What do you say, Piglet?" "I say, I wonder what's going to happen exciting today," said Piglet. How cool is that? Hi, Rashid. Thank you for being here. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. So glad that you're here. And again, today we're reading The Tao of Pooh, kind of doing a review with you on this one, a book that was recommended to me by my sister. And she and I don't often talk too much about these sorts of things. She knows I'm reading a book a day, and this was one that she said she was going to read again at some point when she had some time. So I thought, oh, I'm just going to go see what my sister's up to, and she's a wise one, I can tell you that. All right, so. There you have kind of the positioning. It talks about the three mindsets, if you will, of Eastern. I don't know if it's a religion. It could be Eastern thinking, masters of wisdom, I guess, is how he positions it. And then, and then he kind of likens that into the world um, of Winnie the Pooh. So that was when I began to write a book that explained the principles of Taoism through, I think it's Taoism, through Winnie the Pooh, and explained Winnie the Pooh through the principles of Taoism. When informed of my intentions, the scholars exclaimed, "Preposterous," and things like that. Others said it was the stupidest thing they've ever heard, and I must be dreaming. Some said it was a nice idea, but too difficult. "Just where would you begin?" they asked. Well, an old Taoist saying puts it this way: 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step. So I think we will start at the beginning. I love it. Love it. So the how of poo. So again, it starts again positioning about three ancient mindsets or wisdoms, if you will. The Kung Fu Dush, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, seemed rather sour. He believed that the present was out of step with the past and that the government of man on earth was out of harmony with the way of heaven. So that was one kind of way of thinking. And then there was the Confucian, under Confucianism, the use of precisely measured court music, prescribed steps, actions, and phrases, all added up to an extremely complex system of rituals, which was used for a particular purpose at a particular time. So, to Buddha, the second figure, life on earth was bitter, filled with attachments and desires that led to suffering. The world was not seen as the world was seen as a setter of traps, a generator of illusions, a revolving wheel of pain for all creatures. And then he says the Lao Deuce, Deuce, the so that's the third sort of thinking of wisdom. The harmony that naturally existed between heaven and earth from the beginning could be found by anyone at any time, but could not by following the rules of the Confucianists. As he stated in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao Virtue book, earth was in essence a reflection of heaven, run by the same laws, not by the laws of men. So, thinking about all of that ancient wisdom from the East, and now he's saying, well, we have a little wisdom of our own here in the West, and his name is Pooh. So let's overlap the two of those together. I love it. It's a whimsical, really thoughtful, insightful way of looking at the world. So just to kind of, yeah, give you that positioning at the beginning, that's how he establishes the Tao of who. So it starts by giving us a little bit of philosophy. No matter how he may seem to others, especially fooled by their appearances, Pooh, the uncarved block, is able to accomplish what he does because he is simple minded. As any old Taoist walking out of the woods can tell you, simple minded does not necessarily mean stupid. It's rather significant that the Taoist ideal is the still, calm, reflecting mirror mind of the uncarved block. He goes on to talk about the uncarved block, and that is sort of the simplicity, maybe, of a young child, or in this case, of Pooh, being sort of open and not too attached to anything and not too judgmental about things, just kind of going along. And then he says, um, compares the other characters in Winnie the Pooh. So the uncarved block, it's rather significant that Pooh, rather than the thinkers, Rabbit, Owl, or Eeyore, is the true hero of Winnie the Pooh at the house uh, of Pooh Corner. The fact is, said Rabbit, we've missed our way somehow. They were having a rest in a small sand pit, and they kept looking for home, and then they kept coming back to the sand pit. And so finally, Pooh said, well, we keep looking for home and not finding it. So I thought if we looked for this pit, we'd be sure not to find it, which would be a good thing because then we might find something we weren't looking for, which might be just what we were looking for, really. I love that. The concept of searching, striving, trying, doing all of those types of things. And then, hi, Tim, great to see you. And not getting there, but then realizing that, oh, maybe I just need to stop trying so hard for that, and then finding your way home in this case, right? So really fun, simple examples of ancient philosophies found wrapped up in the world of Winnie the Pooh. So when you disregard arrogance, complexity, and a few other things that get in the way, sooner or later you'll discover that simple, childlike, mysterious secret known to those of the uncarved block. Life is fun. As literally become my theme as I've been reading a book a day since January 1st. And for my accountability practice, showing up here and doing a book summary at noon each day. So whether you're joining me on Amazon Live or on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, I just have to say it's a theme that I've seen running through even the book yesterday, Unconditional Bliss, all the way back to the Greatest Secret that I started with on January 1st. And that is life is fun. There's so many mindsets, right? When you think about great literature, I think about Scott Peck and The Road Less Traveled, Life is Difficult. True. I choose to focus on, it seems, this theme that's kind of running through is life is fun. And it's interesting because I'm not actually choosing these books with any set purpose or overarching theme. I'm just choosing these books with whatever seems to speak to me the day or the day before that I feel like, oh, that would be a good message. That would be something inspirational that seems to fit. And I've ordered a bunch of books, I have to say, which is why this one I picked up in the used section from Amazon. So I thought, oh, I could order that used. So I think I have put that in I think when you click onto it, if you're shopping with me on Amazon, you can click onto it in the use section, kind of going into it. And then I also put in the Kindle version, which I have enjoyed reading a lot on Kindle. So whether you're shopping or whether you're just hanging out and loving these book reviews, I just have to say it's such a treat to be with you and to do this. I love recommendations, so I'd love to hear if you have books that you've read that you'd like me to. Good morning, Ken Nyberg. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Books that you read that you would like to share, or books that maybe you're interested in that maybe I can vet out for you. So, from the uncarved block comes the ability. So, an uncarved block they're talking about, which is sort of the idea, the metaphor here for a simple mind or a simple mindset, even. From the state of the uncarved block comes the ability to enjoy the simple and the quiet, the natural and the plain. Along with that comes the ability to do spontaneous things and have them work, odd as that might appear to others at times. As Piglet put it in the Winnie the Pooh, Pooh hasn't much brain, but he never comes to any harm. He does silly things and they turn out right. I love it. Sometimes I think I'm Pooh walking around in Leah clothes. Okay, so he goes on to talk more about Taoism and the spirituality involved with that. I'm just going to highlight a couple of sort of um, scenarios, if you will, from the book. One more funny thing about knowledge, that of the scholar, the scientist, or anyone else, it always wants to blame the mind of the uncarved block for what it calls ignorance, for problems that it causes itself, rather directly or indirectly, through its own limitations, nearsightedness, or neglect. There's some heavy stuff in here. For example, if you build your house where the wind can blow it down, then let it go to pieces while you worry about how to spell marmalade. Speaking about knowledge, what what is likely to happen? Of course, anyone knows that. When Owl's house falls down, what does he have to say about it? Pooh, said Owl severely. Did you do that? No, said Pooh humbly. I don't think so. Well, then who did? I think it was the wind, said Piglet. I think your house is blown down. Oh, is that it? I thought it was Pooh. No, said Pooh. For the chapter's concluding word about knowledge for the sake of knowledge, let's recall an incident from the House of Pooh. Again, same incident going in there about the three sticks and the house falling down. So super cool stuff. Then, so if you're loving this, let me encourage you to examine it more. The Tao of Pooh, West meets West, West meets East, and kind of the overlap of the two here. Now, there's a chapter about, actually a theme, I should say, about Coddleston pie. So let's talk about this one because it is, I think, a very great symbol of some of the readings that are in this book. Remember when Kanga and Roo came to the forest? Immediately, Rabbit decided that he didn't like them because they were different. Then he began thinking of a way to make them leave. Fortunately for everyone, the plan failed, as clever plans do sooner or later. Cleverness, after all, has its limitations. It goes on and on. Its mechanical judgments and clever remarks tend to prove inaccurate with passing time because it doesn't look very deeply into things to begin with. As in Rabbit's case, it has to change its opinions later on because of what it didn't see when it was forming them. That made me take a pause. It had to change its opinions later on because it didn't see when it was creating them. So I thought about that. How many opinions do I have that I might change now if I went back and actually gathered more information or looked at, what the way the situation is now? There's a lot of places that'll stop and make you pause like that in this book. The thing that makes someone truly different, unique, in fact, is something that cleverness cannot really understand. We will refer to that special something here as inner nature. Since it's pretty much beyond the power of the intellect to measure or understand, we will have Pooh explain it to us, which he will do, by the way, of Coddleston pie, the Coddleston pie principle. So, uh, excuse me a moment. Yes, Pooh? Let me explain it, said Pooh behind his paw. Well, yes, I thought that might be nice. Why don't you explain it, said Pooh. Well, I thought it would be better if you did somehow. I don't think that's such a good idea, said Pooh. Why not? Because when I explain things, they get in the wrong places, Pooh said. That's why. All right, I'll explain it, but you can help out every now and then. How does that sound? Much more like it, says Pooh. Let's see. The Coddleston Pie principle is based on the song Coddleston Pie, which Pooh sang in Winnie the Pooh. Hey, Pooh, can you sing that again? So it goes like this. Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston Pie. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly. Ask me a riddle and I reply, Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston Pie. Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston Pie. A fly can't whistle and neither can I. Ask me a riddle and I reply, Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston Pie. Why does a chicken? I don't know why. Ask me a riddle and I reply, Coddleston, Coddleston, Coddleston Pie. All right. Now, when I first read that, I was like, where is this going? Is this going to be worth my reading? Is this going to be worth my time? Here's where it goes. Let's start with the simple part first. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly. Very simple. It's obvious, isn't it? Yet you'd be surprised how many people violate this simple principle every day in their lives and try to fit a square peg into a round hole, ignoring the clear reality that things are as they are. Such a good point. Such a good point. Just seeing things clearly, seeing things as they are, always the first step to anything. Then he goes on, a fish can't whistle and neither can I. I have certain limitations and I know what they are. There's nothing wrong with not being able to whistle, especially if you're a fish, but there can be lots of things wrong with blindly trying to do what you aren't designed for. Fish don't live in trees and birds don't spend too much time underwater if they can help it. Unfortunately, some people who always seem to think they're smarter than fish and birds somehow aren't so wise and end up causing big trouble for themselves and others. That doesn't mean we need to stop changing and improving. It just means that we need to recognize what's there. If you face the fact that you have weak muscles, then you can do the right things to eventually become strong. But if you ignore what's there and you try to lift someone's car out of the ditch, what sort of condition are you going to be in after a while? And even if you have more muscle than anyone alive and you still can't push over a freight train, the wise know their limitations. The foolish do not. Words of wisdom from the Tao of Pooh. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I was so pleasantly surprised. Really, really like this. A saying from the area of Chinese medicine would be appropriate to mention here. One disease, long life. No disease, short life. Does that take you back a second? It did me. In other words, those who don't know what's wrong with them and take care of themselves accordingly will tend to live. In other words, those who know what's wrong with them and take care of themselves accordingly will tend to live a lot longer than those who consider themselves perfectly healthy and neglect their weaknesses. So, in that sense, a weakness is some sort of can do you a big favor if you acknowledge that it's there. The same goes for one's limitations. Whether Tigger knows it or not, and Tiggers usually don't, that's the trouble with Tiggers. You know, they can do everything. Very unhealthy. Once you face, sometimes I think I'm a Tigger, I want to do so many things. Once you face and understand your limitations, you can work with them instead of them having them work against you and get in your way, which is what you do when you ignore them. So, love that. Life lessons from the Tao of Pooh. Are you loving this as much as I am? Thank you so much. I got to say, thank you for being here. I see you on Facebook Live, Charles and Ken and Evan. So nice to have you join me right now. Love that you're here. Thank you as well. If you're joining me on Amazon Live, I should say, type in a message into our chat so that if you want to chat with me, I'm glad to chat with you. By the way, what I've done is, if you're joining me on Amazon Live, and the carousel is sort of a reflection of the books, many of the books that I have done reviews on since January 1st. And I'll add those links if you're joining me on Amazon Live or on YouTube Live as well. And so if you're looking for inspirational reading, if you're looking for inspiration, hang out with me at noon each day because I'm here as an accountability practice. I wanted to have a New Year's resolution that was meaningful. And I also felt like I wanted to have some inspiration. And this has been such a great space for that. So I'm really glad that you're here with me. And I thank you for joining me for these book reviews. All right. So moving on with this one, I'll give you a quick little summary towards the back. So, what do you like doing best in the world, Pooh? Well, said Pooh, what I like best. And then he had to stop and think because eating honey was a very good thing to do. There was a moment just before you began to eat, which was better than when you were. But he didn't know what it was called. The honey doesn't taste so good once it's being eaten. The goal doesn't mean so much once it is reached. The reward is not so rewarding once it has been given. If we add up all the rewards in our lives, we don't have very much. But if we add up all the spaces between the awards, we come up with quite a bit. And if we add up all the rewards and spaces, then we have everything, every minute of time that we spent. What if we could enjoy it? Love that. What if we could enjoy it all that time? That doesn't mean that we don't have goals that are goals that don't count. We do. Just mostly they cause us to go through the process. And it's the process that makes us wise, happy, or whatever. Because that's the Tao of Pooh. Wise, happy, or whatever. I love this. I, I didn't think I would laugh so much reading this book. Okay, so then in summary, there the Pooh books came to an end. In the enchanted place at the top of the forest, we can go there anytime. It's not far away. It's not hard to find. Just take the path to nothing and go nowhere until you reach it. Because the enchanted place is right where you are. And if you're friendly with bears, you can find it. I love it. I love it. So I would highly recommend this one, especially if you are looking for something that is heartwarming, that is something that could be for all ages. Certainly something you could read, with children as well. I just, certainly have enjoyed this. So it's available for you in the carousel on Amazon. I'll just highlight it for you. And whether you're reading on the Kindle version or picking up a used book like I did, or I think I have the new one in there as well, entirely up to you. Let me invite you to join me. Every day at noon, I'm here with book reviews on Amazon Live, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and I'll put the links in the chats for you as well. All right, have a great Friday. And I think my new motto is going to be go play. I like it. Tell me what you think of it. All right, we'll see you next time.